Hey everyone, Pups here. If you haven't heard about Sony Animation's new movie K-Pop Demon Hunters, I honestly don't know what rock you've been living under, but you're missing out. The animation, the music, characters, even the message, and the spiritual themes of the movie are just so good and so meaningful. I could probably yap and theorize about this movie for hours, but today we're going to be turning these characters into cookies. Starting off with Rumi. She is the lead singer of Huntrix. However, despite being half demon, the demon lord Guima does not have control over her. Whenever I was thinking of what to theme her cookie around, I googled purple candies. There was this purple peppermint that popped up. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm very picky about peppermint candies. Like, I can't even do peppermint and chocolate. So whenever I found out that peppermint and grape was a thing, so the candies themselves are really pretty. I like the purple and the white together. Well, like, who was the dingus that decided that grape and mint would go good together? It definitely seems like a combination that shouldn't be happening, and for that reason, I had to use it to represent Rumi. So, just talking about the movie and Rumi for a second, there's 100 different ways that people can interpret the whole thing, and that's the beauty of storytelling. And for me, being a Christian, I saw the patterns as kind of a representation of sin. And, without getting too spiritual with it, they represent behavioral patterns, wink wink, we feel shame over, and most of the time we don't know how to overcome it. Not that you're supposed to, embrace or indulge in the sin, but unless you acknowledge that it's part of you and that it's an issue that you have, you can't open up to people and get help. And I thought it was really, beautiful in a poetic way at the end, whenever Rumi makes peace with herself, that the patterns kind of fade on their own. They became a sort of testimony, showing where she came from and not allowing her past to dictate the kind of woman that she's becoming. I will say Rumi did have a bad case of protagonitis, but the things that she struggled with are very much real things that real people struggle with. For that, she was a lot more relatable than many other protagonists are, in my opinion. And of course, I couldn't stop singing the praises of how good the character design and the animation and stuff is that brought her to life. And the voices, oh my god, the voice actors were so good. And the fact that she has this really strong feminine voice, I can't stop listening to the songs, guys. Help. Actually, hold off on helping me because you're about to meet Grape Mint Cookie. She is a dark slash fighter, and while Rumi is very powerful on her own, I wanted to be faithful both to the themes of the original media and of Tower of Adventure's goal of being a more cooperative game, and give her a moveset that really allows her to shine alongside her teammates. If you have any ideas for alternate movesets or artifacts, let me know down in the comments, and I may feature it in a future video. Next on the list is Zoe. She's probably my favorite Huntrix member. I absolutely adore her personality, and she's really relatable, not gonna lie. She's really got this mix of, energetic, but also super chill at the same time. Like, she really is a girl who can do both. So out of curiosity, I looked up different Korean coffees, and there was this one that popped up called Dalgona, but not just Dalgona, but Dalgona Boba. It's kind of a blend of like coffee with whipped cream with these little popping boba balls. Like, there's just so much going on, but it also goes together at the same time. It's a tasty treat in the end, and we love that. Now, you may or may not have noticed, but I did draw these characters in more casual clothing, and first off, that's because they have so many good outfits in the movie. Like, it was so hard to pick pick just one, and I am planning to do videos just on designing costumes. I wanted to kind of keep their quote-unquote base outfit pretty simple. This one in particular was based off of her casual hoodie that she wears in the movie. The little tassels on her hoodie were supposed to be like the cream on top of the Dalgona, and my friends so gracefully pointed out that it looked like poop emojis. So I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like redrawing this outfit, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of white on there and boom, it's cream now. It's not poop. Get that thought out of your head. But no, in all seriousness, I really love how her outfit turned out, and I'm also really excited to make the other costumes. I really hope that you guys enjoy it too. So just let me know in the comments which outfits that you're most excited to see. If you guys know the trends of Cookie Run games, not always, but typically, the base outfit for a cookie is really not that great, but then they come out with like these super awesome looking costumes, and it almost makes the cookie look like a completely different person. And I use the word person loosely here, but especially when it comes to like their golden outfits. Ooh, I'm so excited. Like, grr, I hate that I can't draw as much as I imagine. Like, why? But without further ado, let's meet Dalgona Boba Cookie. She is a ranged water tagger using clever ideas in order to weaken the enemies and show off some flashy moves with her throwing knives. And like with Rumi, I wanted her moveset to really allow her to click with cookies of other elements and find their harmony. Yes, it was a reference, and I'll sound like a broken record at this point, but if you have ideas for any artifacts or alternate movesets, please let me know down below. Our third runner-up is Mira. Really love Mira's character. You know, it has like that strong girl boss energy, but while also being vulnerable and realistic. It's just really refreshing to have a character like that in a world where female lead characters honestly feel like they're written by men who have never talked to a woman in their life. She was a very relatable character, honestly felt like somebody that I would meet in real life, somebody that I might even relate with a little bit. I know it might sound a little bit generic, but her blend of roughness and sweetness reminded me of rock candy. I also can't help but think of the verse that she sung in the finale song whenever she talks about her jagged edges meeting the light. I don't know what it was about these designs in particular, but I was really struggling with their eye shape. Mira was no exception, and since I'm still kind of new at doing this, I didn't want to stray away too much, but I feel like the design that we went with struck a decent balance between being unique while also feeling like it fit into the Cookie Run universe. I would really love to do some more design studies. I will also admit that Mira was one of the ones I struggled with more in general just to get the effect that I wanted, because I don't know why, but it felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't looking the way that I wanted. So whenever I do show the final product, it will look different than the one that you're seeing me draw here. But that's how art is sometimes. There's moments when it all feels like it's coming together perfectly, and then there's other times where I feel like I can't even draw a line. I thought about the idea of them having some sort of major power boost or synergy whenever all three of them are on a team together, which is why I designed them to be a fighter, a tagger, and a support, because I wanted them to all be able to go together on the same team despite being different elements. And whether that's through their artifact or their passive, I'm not really sure how that would work mechanically, but if you guys have any ideas, please do tell me in the comments, because sometimes you guys think of things that I don't. But I've yapped enough for this one. It's time to meet Jagged Edge Cookie. She is an Earth/assist. She wants to protect those that she cares about, out. I think it kind of breaks the rules in Tower of Adventures to be a healer and a shielder at the same time, so Mira will actually split the damage between her allies and herself, while also restoring the team's health for a portion of the damage that she deals. If you have any ideas for how this can be implemented, then please do share. Now we get to draw Bobby! Yay! Honestly, Bobby was one of my favorite characters, and I feel like in general he's so underrated. Also, thinking about everything from his perspective, not knowing about, the whole demons and hunting type of thing, I can't imagine what goes through that man's head half the time. Because he does genuinely care about the girls. He's trying his best to, book them trips to the spa, bring them snacks, he's always thinking about them and very involved in their music and what they want to do and where they're going. But he's also very clueless at the same time about who they really are. And if and when there is a sequel, I hope that's addressed. Because I just feel so bad for him, always bringing them treats and stuff just for them to run off 3 minutes later, or him booking these nice luxury trips for them just for them to want to sit on a couch. This poor man was really trying, and when you look at it from that perspective, it makes it even more sad whenever the Saja boys and Guima were getting into his head, because you gotta think, for him it can even feel like he's always being dismissed or that he's not important enough for them to let into their personal life. But aside from that, I do genuinely love the relationship that he has with the girls, and that even though he is this character that's meant to be very lighthearted and maybe even a bit of a comical relief, he's still taken seriously. He feels like somebody that you would actually meet and then would actually be in this position, and that's important to the story, and not just there for the sake of a laugh, and I really enjoy that. And since he's such a sweet, squishy little man, I couldn't think of anything else except some kind of caramel or toffee to represent him in cookie form. And whenever I was conceptualizing him, I honestly couldn't see him as a playable character, not gonna lie. I definitely feel like he would be an NPC, sort of like a mission giver, However, if he were to be playable, I did come up with some ideas for a moveset that he could have, and if you guys have any other ideas, please let me know down below. I can't see him being a big damage dealer, if any damage at all, but he's very encouraging and supportive regardless. So even though he's not flashy or, out there per se, he's still kind of the silent backbone of the group where you can tell a difference when he's not there. And since he doesn't do any of the flashy shows or big numbers, he'll probably never get recognized, but deep down everybody knows that he's the reason for their success. Alright, and the last ones for today are going to be the two characters that have no name technically, but that the fandom has lovingly called Derpy and Sussy. I just think it's really interesting how fandoms decide the names for things, especially ships or, characters with no names. I really don't know how we collectively come to these conclusions, but it's just so fun to see. I really loved both of these characters, especially the cat. I want 500 of him, please. I also thought it was interesting that he was confirmed to be not a demon, but a spirit animal, meaning that he actually lives in the Hanmoon. That was a very cool detail that I wish they would have talked about in the show, but that's why we have Q&As and other ways of getting information nowadays. I also want to go on a little tangent here to rank and talk about the songs. In first place, I think I have to say This Is What It Sounds Like. Not only is it a beautiful song, but the meaning behind it and the context that it had with the movie was just so resonating. I don't know how to explain it. I hardly ever cry at movies, and that genuinely made me want to sob. You guys are probably gonna make fun of me for this, but I actually think my second and third favorite songs are the Saja Boys song. Whoever came up with all the songs is an absolute mastermind. Like, there's just so much meaning, but especially with the Saja Boys songs, like with Soda Pop, I love how it's disguised as, you know, just this catchy, normal song that you would probably hear from an actual K-pop band. But if you know that they are demons, it gives it a whole other meaning. Your Idol shook me a little bit in the sense that it really made me think about, you know, the music that I listen to and stuff, and that's genuinely, you know, how the devil works. As a villain song, it is just so perfect. And then, you know, down from there, Golden, how it's done. I'd say the only song that I really didn't care for, which is probably an unpopular opinion, was Free. Like, don't get me wrong, it is a really good song and it has a great meaning, but it also just felt a little too, you know, ushy gushy, romantic-y. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I could not tell you why it's my least favorite song, but if I had to pick on any of them, that would be it. But all of that talk aside, let's finally meet the Cookie Run versions of Derpy and Sussy. I'm gonna be real with you all, adapting them into Cookie Run was unreasonably hard, and I ended up opting for a simpler, safer option, but I thought I'd go ahead and include both versions whenever I get more practice with a Cookie Run style, especially with non-cookie characters. These are a couple that I'm going to revisit again and redesign later on, but for what it's worth, I think that they turned out really cute. And that concludes part 1 of sending the K-pop Demon Hunters characters into the Cookie Run universe. I plan on drawing the Saja Boys in my next art video. When that's out, you can click to the left to go watch that, and on the right is a fun playlist of a bunch of other turning characters into cookies art that I've done. And with all that being said, you all have a blessed day and keep being awesome. See ya!